So that's Zoot Money. Zoot Money's big roll band. Zoot's been involved with everybody from you name it, from
onwards.
Yeah, from God onward.
Graham Bond.
And Graham Bond. Everybody.
Ginger Baker.
Yeah, just everybody. Yeah. But anyway, John Altman's been involved with everybody from Jimi Hendrix to Peter Green, everybody in between, to movies like the Titanic. Alan Gower's claim to fame was that he kind of helped me with guitar. And after playing guitar with Alan, I took up the tuba. He told me to pick up a tuba.
Did he turn you off the guitar that bad?
Well, I don't like to say.
No. And Marvin, let's see. I think Wally Waller, the Pretty Things. And I think we got everybody. Yeah. And we're expecting some more people to join us as we go along. So guys, Marvin was in that band Lone Justice. Remember Lone Justice?
Sure.
Yeah, that was Marvin's.
That Maria McKee.
No.
McKee,
that's correct.
Was that another band?
Yeah, that was
Is that correct, Marvin?
Yes.
That is correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
The mic is working.
Yeah, your
mic is distorted and low, Marvin. It's quite low as well.
Okay, Marvin owns a record company now, and Marvin used to go to Temple with the likes of Phil Spector and Bob Dylan and Peter Himmelman and
I don't know about Dylan and Spector, but
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen. That's where I met Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, Leonard Cohen and all that stuff. So
yeah, I never met Phil Spector.
Oh, okay, my era. And I think we're caught up. So let's see. We'll wait a little for everybody else, but I think we're all caught up now. Is Willie joining us today, Marvin?
I don't know.
Okay. I sent him an invite.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're waiting for some other people to come along. Can everybody see everybody, or is this?
Well, I think so. But it's very weird. There's
Wait, hold on.
There are very. I'm not using any kind of mask, but I'm just in a circle for some reason. And
how's that?
Whoa! Yeah, we got that. Yeah,
that's better.
Oh, everybody's back. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Can we? Yeah. If we can all see each other, that's great.
Yeah, that is okay. Cool. What happened was I got a new computer, and I'm still setting it up. So I guess I don't know what the hell I was doing. But anyway, okay. So everybody's fine now. Wally, you're out of that little circle.
I'm okay now. I can see. I'm in a square. I can see.
And David is back in the way he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And let's see, everybody. Jim, okay. Good, we're good to go. So anyway, I'd like David to kind of go through his kind of like his resume for us, because he's the guy who's been involved with so many great. David, every time I follow your music, and then I'll find you on albums with guys like David Cross and just incredible guys. Can you tell us a little about that, Dave?
Well, I came to fame really through meeting DeGraaf Generator, but even before I met DeGraaf Generator, I was playing with one of the most amazing drummers ever, a guy called Robbie McIntosh, who was in the Average White Band.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I was playing with him when he was 15 years old. Oh. And I was 19, and he lived just across the road from me in Dundee. And it was wonderful working with him for 6 months, because he was inspiring to work with. But he was also crazy, because he used to go and sit in my study when I was doing lectures at the university, and he didn't have any work, so, and he just used to listen to drum breaks on my LPs and make holes in them. So every time I got to play my records, especially Miles Davis ones, and I got to the drum break, it just went round and round and round and round. Anyway, that was important, because it gave me a taste of playing with great people, even though he was 15. but I met up with Van de Graaff after I left university, and I kind of had an audition, and in the room was John Anderson from Yes and Peter Hamill, and they were all listening to the band that I was in called Hebelob, and we'd just done a session at Polydor, and the same desk that Jimi Hendrix recorded Are You Experienced, apparently. So I was, you know, touched with a bit of magic there, John. But anyway, I met Peter Hamill and I went for a session with the band, and am I in the band? And they said, yeah. So that was it. I was in the band, and we did very well. And for 12 years, I toured everywhere with the band and made lots of records, and became really interested in electronic saxophone, because there were no monitors in those days, and there was just a PA for the voice. That's it. And because Van de Graaff was very unusual, it just had organ, sax, and drums. Ended up as a 4-piece like that. So I had to be very resourceful and develop this fantastic electric sax system, which I was talking about to Ian Underwood last time. And so that was interesting. But in the course of Van de Graaff, we were signed to a very good label called Charisma Records, who had very important people like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Genesis, and lots of people who were quite small who overtook us, you know. But it was interesting. I got to play with Peter Gabriel one year because he needed a saxophone player for a Reading festival.
What saxophone did you play?
Good question. Well, they're just here. I could turn this monitor around. Because I wanted to be like Roland Kirk, who I was obsessed with when I was at university. Even at school, I was obsessed with Roland Kirk. I wanted to put as many saxophones around my neck as possible, so I'd look like Roland Kirk, basically, as you do when you're a teenager. You know, you just emulate people you admire. You almost clone. I've forgotten the psych. I was studying psychology. I should know the word. That you what is it? You oh no, it'll come to me.
Assimilate.
Emulate is a good word. Yeah.
Plagiarize.
Plagiarize. Totally. Yeah. All of that. No, you I've forgotten the word. Anyway, I was obsessed with Kirk. And so I had an alto. My brother gave me, he was a brilliant sax player, my brother, and he gave me his old alto. And then I worked in a factory one summer and got a tenor. So as soon as I got an alto and tenor, I put them together around my neck. And I got Bill Lewington, I used to go buy my reeds from and buy instruments from. And I got them to modify the alto so that I could play it backwards. Instead of playing, oh God, it's mirror image. It's a bit confusing here, but basically you've got a seventh, as John will know, you've got a seventh in each hand. You've got a seventh in your top hand, haven't you? You've got G up to F, you know, so if you're playing the alto upside down, you've got a seventh there. If you've got extra keys, thumb keys, so I got all these thumb keys put on, so I was able to do all this 2 octaves in each hand. And then when I put the electrics on, I got 2 octaves below and an octave above. So I got 4 octaves, harmonies playing like that. And I had 2 enormous stereo. I had a stereo system, high watt cabs, 1500 watts, stereo amps. And it was so loud that I could actually get feedback, you know, like a guitarist could. Yeah. You could actually get the reeds vibrating on their own.
Were any of these shows recorded for record?
I think far too many were, but I don't go looking for them anymore. But
Who modified the saxes for you?
Oh, somebody in Bill Lewington's. It was never personal in those days. You just gave the instrument and told you what you want. You didn't sit with the guy.
Yeah, right.
He just, I think he just sawed off keys from an old saxophone and welded them on to the palm keys.
Wow.
So I play the alto on this with this hand.
Yeah.
So I can go round and play them as well. It's a bit Quasimodo world, you know. You're all doing this to play, but especially when I was at university, I just used to practice all the time, you know, all the time, obsessively trying to play Roland Kirk tunes and so on.
What brought you to Roland Kirk? Why not John Coltrane?
Well, okay. I went through them all. Marvin. At different times. I wish I could think of the word when you get fixated on things. But I got fixated on Sonny Rollins, who I absolutely adore. And oh God, loads of them. And with just one after the other. Cannonball Adderley.
Yeah.
You know, you get fixated when you're a teenager.
And did you get to meet any of these heroes of yours?
Never, none.
Oh, I see.
Absolutely none.
Did you ever see them live?
No, only Sonny Rollins. But I went to see Sonny Rollins and I crashed my van on the way home. And I nearly
But you
died.
didn't get to meet him or anything?
No, I didn't. No, I just sat there and, and watched him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched him. I met somebody that I admire that has got a connection with George Mooney, because I met Georgie Fame, who I greatly admired when I was at school.
Ballad of Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, and we were talking about, I had a chat with him at Ronnie Scott's club, and we were talking about you, George Mooney. So he was talking about you for some reason. He obviously greatly admired you.
It was one of my best PR people.
I got to play with Philly Joe Jones when I was 15 and a half.
Wow. What was that like?
Very interesting. He came to live in London because he got his drugs on the National Health free. So he came to live in a house in London, and he couldn't work, but he could organize, he could teach and organize jam sessions. So he organized jam sessions in Hampstead in this house. And I went along, and all the great sax players who Dave would know, Art Feeman, Alan Skidmore, all these wonderful British sax players, and me, who, you know, just about knew one end of the sax from the other. And I got my solo, and we were playing a 12 bar, and I thought, I can't play like them. They're all doing the Coltrane bit, and I've been playing for 3 years, you know. So I played one note, and then I played the same note again, and another one. Then I played 3 notes, and then I put in a 4th one, and then I suddenly went, this is what you do. This is how you create a solo. And at the end of the number, he ignored all the others and came over to me and said, you play like Joe Henderson. Mr. 15-year-old had his validation for the rest of his life.
That's right.
Well,
David, I played on a bill with Santana with Roland Kirk at the Fillmore East in I think 1973. And it was Santana, Roland Kirk, and Tower Power on the same bill.
What a bill!
Yeah.
Only Bill Graham would make gigs like that. Hey, Todd Cochran.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Good.
How you
Okay.
doing? Archie, you doing good?
let me-
Yes.
let-
Things
so let
are
me-
things are good.
So let me get everybody caught up with everybody else.
Yeah.
Some of the new guys to the party is Marvin Etzioni, Todd, Michael.
Hey, Todd.
Hey.
How
Oh,
you
yeah,
doing, man?
that's right. You guys met. But anyway,
Yeah.
Marvin's from Regional Records. Now, Jonathan Pushkar, he's the youngest member here.
Oh.
He's
Sure.
working on JEM Records for JEM Records now.
Oh my goodness.
This
In New
is
York?
yeah, Marty Scott. This is his. I don't know if you can see it. This is his new album, Compositions,
Nice cover.
and it has a very,
Thank you.
very, very power pop feel to it. You know, like old, you know, classic rock type stuff, Beatles, kinky type of a sound. Jonathan, that's Wally Waller from the Pretty Things, who had that sound.
Oh, fantastic.
Michael Shrieve is here with us. Michael and Todd were in a band called Automatic Man together. Prior to that, Michael was in Santana. He doesn't like me telling everybody how great he was, so he was just an average. He was an average drummer who got lucky at Woodstock. And so we have David Jackson up here. David is from DeGraaf Generator. George Mooney, who's Zoot Money, from Zoot Money's Big Roll Band, another classic rock guy. Discovered some great guys along the way, including Andy Summers. John Altman, you'll have to look him up on Wikipedia. It'll take me all day to tell you what he did. Marvin Etzioni. Marvin's from Regional Records and was in a band called Lone Justice, a lot of solo work, great acoustic mandolin player. And I think we got everybody, right? I hit everybody. And Todd.
Where are
Todd,
you located, Marvin?
I'm sorry, say again?
Where are you located?
I'm in Los Angeles.
okay,
How about yourself?
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, Seattle. All right.
okay, guys. This came in the mail today. Todd Cochran's
Wow.
news.
Oh,
Talk
excellent.
about good timing.
All
Yeah,
right.
I just
Yeah.
opened the package a few minutes ago. So
It looks
I'm
like
gonna
you're
listen-
singing, Todd.
Am I singing?
It looks like it on the cover from a
Not on that one. But I'm really excited about the release.
good.
yeah,
I
I'm
have,
listening.
I have, yeah, I guess I have one thing to share, which is, you know, this is my trio with
Michael
John
Carvin.
John Leftwich and Tabo. Yeah, Michael Carvin, right?
Great.
Which has, you know, been my band for a while. And
Nice.
I don't know if I told you, you know, I've been making short films for about 4 or 5 years. Kind of moved into that, and still the gearhead, you know.
Yeah.
And
Michael Carvin was my one of my drum teachers in my teens
yeah,
days. Yeah.
yeah, he's, you know, real
I-
special. But one
I
thing,
have
but
to say, oh, sorry. Todd asked if I could put him back in touch with Richard Williams in London,
Yes.
the writer, which I did. And Richard said, please say hello to Michael for me as well.
okay, great.
Williams, a great writer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's really
wonderful.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, I'd love to get in touch with him too.
Well,
yeah.
I'll give you an email. Oh,
Yeah.
so I think I spoke over you. I'll give you his email.
Michael, you're going to be doing some work out of the country soon, aren't you?
Myself?
Yeah, are you touring soon? You going on the road soon?
No.
I
No.
thought you're not doing the acoustic thing with
With Tony. No, I don't have any plans except to get out. I'm booked to get out of the country and go down to Mexico on the 20th.
oh, okay. That for work too?
No, just to like look around to see if I want to move there.
Well, if you find a place, if you find a spot, let me know. I'll move in next door to you. It's time to get out. It's time to get out of here, isn't it?
There's a lot of doctors in Mexico. There were last time I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they grab hold of you.
Well, but yeah, it's getting uglier and uglier here, isn't it, guys?
Are you talking
Yeah,
about New
but
York?
you know,
Let's not go there.
Yeah, that's another episode.
Yeah.
That's another
Yeah,
episode.
it's good.
So,
Well, but I'll tell you one thing I'm really, which I, happy to share with everyone here is that Downbeat magazine is premiering the short film that was done of the band on
great.
Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the album is released on Friday, and we go from there.
wow.
Congrats.
So I'm really thrilled, man. That was, and I had a film that I did that was in a short film festival in March that did well. It's something I've been in, and I've been invited to a number of other festivals, and it's all music based, and it's great. So this was done, the band, it's a 17-minute film, and it's got compositing and all,
That's great, man.
yeah, it's it's on the edge. We're playing the music, but it's on the edge, and so
Yeah,
I'm very excited about it, man.
That's great. I
Yep.
look forward to it. I'm just been for many years attracted to the combination of music and visuals, of course, but now it's just out there so much. The opportunities are just incredible. Todd, who are you using for promotion on this record?
Well, I'm coming from there, which is it's really been very exciting, man, actually. But it's been a long time pulling this team together.
Yeah.
Because I talked to you about this project. We've been, I've talked to you about it. It was going.
Yeah. But is there somebody that you use as an independent promoter for the record?
Yeah, I'm using. Yeah. I have an excellent publicist, but I've got a great relationship with the owner of the label, and it's great. But this is the thing, the way we do it these days, it's the skin in the game. I've had record deals, and this is it's a different business model for me. Yeah, I'm approaching it completely differently. And so what it is I don't feel like I'm repeating anything. You know what I mean? So there's a certain thing like, because we've been doing this a long time. Everyone here, we've been doing this, we know kind of what comes next. And certainly, we've experienced the pitfalls and, the struggle and the misses,
Michael, Todd, Jonathan is in the game new now. And he just got off of a weekend of vinyl signing, record store promotions like the old days.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah.
So you actually had vinyl release? Because they've asked about that. Certain corners have asked about vinyl release. That's interesting. Is it a vinyl based issue? Is that what the company you're with does as part of their identity?
Yeah, so when I was signed to the label 2 years ago, they only did CD on me, and I really wanted to do vinyl, just who wouldn't? It's cool, right? But basically they only did CD on me because vinyl's so expensive to get pressed, and they said that they weren't really sure since I was new. I mean, I was only 23 at the time, so they were like, we don't know how much you're going to sell. CD's cheaper, safer, blah, blah, blah. Well, even with CD, I was one of the top selling artists on the label of the year. So we all were kind of kicking ourselves for not doing vinyl. So this time around we did, but because of the lockdowns and COVID and everything, the vinyl production is so backed up right now. Like I heard if you put in an order today for vinyl, it can take up to 6 months before it gets to the distributor.
As well.
And let me tell you, and the people who do that, who have those plants and that equipment, they are literally, they are stars. I mean, I've seen a couple of, real interesting pieces, documentaries on, people who are actually doing that, the whole thing, vacuum pressing and
I think there's a whole nother side to it too, that everybody spent last year at home making music. And so everybody's getting ready to put it out now. So on top of, not as much staff and everything. There's so much coming in that, you know, I think the demand just exceeds it. But you know, what we did is we did colored vinyl. It's like blue vinyl, which is really, really cool. It kind of matches the album cover. And it's crazy that the not standard colors, like if you do any kind of wacky color, it's cheaper than just doing black vinyl. I don't know why that is, but
What kind
yeah, I was
So
shocked.
who is that? I mean, because your music it's rock, pop.
Yeah,
is
Yeah,
that-
like 60s infused pop kind of
That's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Power
So what is that? Does that go to like almost like a pseudo audiophile audience? Because you see these playback systems, you know, because I mean I know people have got like really extensive analog playback systems, and that's like, you know, a very, very expensive hobby for people who are really into that.
They like the vinyl. They like the vinyl. I mean, I'd like to do vinyl on my next release as well, but I know it's backed up. But isn't it true with Bandcamp? You can do vinyl like, you know, as you go sort of thing. So you don't have to put an order in of 300 pieces or something. Isn't that the
So
case?
I think the more you order, you get a price break on it because, you know, vinyl, unlike CD, like they actually have to make the mold for it. So I think because they have to make the mold, like it's more efficient for them to sell more. You know what I mean? So the more you buy, the cheaper it gets, kind of price break thing. But yeah, I mean, I think if you order any less than maybe like 150, 300, the price is just cost prohibitive, you know, because I think there's only a certain amount somebody's willing to pay for a vinyl too. So you got to keep those margins in line.
Yeah.
Are you performing, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm playing this week at the Hard Rock Cafe in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, doing a listening party and a little performance up there. And then my band and I are gearing up to, you know, play a little bit later in the year. It's just for all of us, like once the world started to open up, it just seems like the floodgates opened. And so to get everybody on the same page and rehearsal schedules back on and stuff, we're still figuring out all of that. But yeah, a little later in the year, we'll be hitting it for sure.
I just bought on Bandcamp. I like this ambient group from Italy called Lua or something. I don't know how I got there. One thing leads to another, and you know how it is. So, but the only way to get the digital album was to go ahead and buy their cassette as well.
Wow.
Now, okay. Now, on that note, Michael,
yeah,
like, you know, there are people. Now, I read a couple of articles the past few months. That people are seeking cassettes and they want to listen to music on cassettes.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
It's just a retro thing. I mean, you know, it becomes cool. I mean, it's nothing more than that. And you know, I mean, I've got cassettes out here from like 40-year-old cassettes I'm going through. And
let me tell you, because I know we know each other really well, and I know you've got thousands of cassettes, and I have thousands as well. And I've had and I have a couple of cassette players that I wouldn't dare put a cassette in, because if you're not using them all the time, the rollers and the I guess they all have, you know, it's like a car, you know, they have pulleys and they stretch, and so you can really ruin your cassette.
But if you don't use them, they dry out.
Don't just put it in. And probably it's the same way with the DAT machine too, because that moves as well. Anything that's moving in there and it's sat around, because I mean, I know I haven't used this machine.
That's why I use this with my DAT machine first. It cleans it. You know, you run that a couple of times. And with, you know how you used to do, you take what do you call it? An ear thing.
Q-tip.
With some alcohol, and you put it in there, and you clean your cassette heads.
The heads in the roller.
Yeah.
Now I think I told you, Michael, that reel-to-reels are getting big again.
Yes, reel-to-reels are back. I know, I've looked at that. I've
Yeah.
been looking at that.
Nice.
I mean, you know, I don't know what the numbers are or anything like that, but
But some audiophiles are paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for reel-to-reels.
I know it. I know.
And it's just, you know,
But see,
supposedly-
that's more of a consumer-based thing, because I just think about just the time that it takes to even access a work in progress, you know, through these analog systems. I mean, just because everything is so time intensive.
Now,
And we've taken on so many different things.
Yeah.
Also, with anything with oxide involved on a tape, it's not. I mean, you've got so much maintenance to go through to clean
That's
the
right.
heads.
Degaussing, yeah, you got to degauss the, you know.
Yeah,
and-
it's. I mean,
it's like-
you've got to have all kind of stuff. It's not like digital stuff. Analog is
not.
very, very difficult, and
and you
unless
don't have we don't have the recall. I mean, just things that we've learned how to, you know.
So what do you, when you guys buy music, what do you do?
well, I guess.
You stream it.
Yeah, I stream now. I buy about 2 CDs a year. I wouldn't dream of buying vinyl myself.
Really?
I mean, there's
I
a
like
big
the vinyl.
big
I
You know what?
CDs
Myself,
gonna be
like I
about
always,
30 quid. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
There's a Beach Boys compilation coming out soon. The CD's about £15, and the vinyl, when it comes out, is going to be £76.
Yeah.
I mean, and over here, a lot of the independent record stores, they'd all go under if it wasn't for vinyl. That's what's keeping them going.
Yeah, I think that's completely true.
Not CDs. No, I don't know anybody apart from me occasionally that would say buy your CD, Todd, around, you know, Worlds Around the Sun, or Michael's CDs or something. But generally, it's all on Spotify now. I hate to say it, but I mean, I just don't want any more physical stuff in. I mean, I've got so much stuff in my flat already.
I know. I feel the same way. Although for special music that really I like, and I think sonically, like there's a guy named Amon Tobin who I really like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like to get the vinyl. There's a group called Sun Lux that I think is like it's a pop group. It's a pop group, but it's unbelievable. It's a trio, and they're so experimental. And each one of them individually is so experimental that I buy their vinyl, you know, because it's special. Now I don't have a great vinyl setup, but I buy the vinyl.
Yeah.
So,
What do you do with it?
That's what I mean. Like I
want to have a space where I have my, you know, I used to have all the Macintosh gear and all this stuff and triamps, you know, and it was such a pleasure for me. So I just dream of having a room with vinyl and my CDs and just dedicated to listening to music, which we don't do anymore.
That's great,
you know?
for you, because you know you're a very deep listener. I think that's one of your things.
I miss making this, creating this,
going into that. Yeah,
you're listening to music because that's why we all got into it, and my joy still is finding new music. You know,
Right.
that what keeps me going. I just love
Okay.
it.
I'm giving you guys a new band, Black Midi.
yeah. You know what, Eliot, you were just on my frequency when Michael was going to finish. I was going to talk about Black Midi.
Yeah.
Happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was the name
Eliot,
of the
we're like, I was like 3 seconds away from saying that, Eliot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's happening. Absolutely, man.
Great
Oh yeah.
band.
Check it. I mean, you'll dig it, Michael.
Yeah, I look forward
Yeah,
to it.
I think I have, I know your taste.
Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah.
Just like Michael was like surprised that I was listening to this pop band last year. You know, man, I love music, man. Let me tell you, when I'm not playing music or making it, man, I'm a total fan.
Now, the whole thing.
I mean, totally forget it, man. I don't need to know what key. I don't need to know the tempo. I'm just like, man, I'm there.
But the whole thing with vinyl is who the hell wants to move dragging vinyl around again?
Yeah,
That was
that's
the
the
other
other
MIDI though,
thing.
you'll dig it. They've got, I think this is like their third album, and they're a trio too.
Cavalcade,
Michael.
Cavalcade, right?
I don't know them.
Yeah, they're a trio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Cavalcade. Is their
That's the new
album.
record.
Yeah, it came out this week, I think, right? Just a
I
couple
dug it.
days ago. Yeah.
Look forward to it.
And they do a bit of which you'll dig. They do some sound design a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and there's some actuals in there.
Yep.
It got my attention. My son came down the hallway and wanted to know what I was listening to.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a pretty cool
Uh-huh.
band.
You know.
They're actually an interracial band.
Yeah. I think the drummer's black.
The drummer was
Yeah.
lead singer. Anyway,
Yeah.
great band, great new
It's
band.
happening, man.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're English. They're British.
they?
I'll definitely check it out. You got to check out this group, Sun Lux. It's really
How do you say it?
But we're into that. We've already talked about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you like the drummer.
The drummer is amazing. I mean, he's not. You know what's amazing? And Jim, it's LUX.
Right. No, they're cool.
What's amazing? I mean, the what's amazing is like how he takes a pop context, but he brings like that Chris Dave sort of vibe. This drummer who's really one of the shapeshifters of drumming in, you know, like people who got that Jay Dilla sound, that production sound, and the way they mess with the time.
Right.
Anyway, it's do you guys?
And they're a mixed band also. They're a mixed band also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asian and
Asian, yeah. Drummers Asian, yes. Mm-hmm.
How do you guys seek out new music, or do you live in the past?
There's a new band.
What a great question.
Eliot and I just told you what came out yesterday.
Black MIDI.
That's
But
we
that's
tell
only
you what
two.
just came out
It's only
yesterday.
you two hipsters.
And let me tell you.
Yeah, we
My
live in the-
son, my son, at school when he was at Interlochen, one of their projects was a multimedia project, and so like of course the music students there, they're at quite a level, and so they have to do interdisciplinary things.
Oh man!
And one of them had done a piece with the band Sunlock, and it was really, really experimental. The video, and they have a film department there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really, really enhanced. It's another level beyond what even they have, how they've represented themselves visually.
Yeah.
So it's inspiring that, and I think it's really important, man, to know how people are perceiving not just notes but tones, because there's a lot of people are just deal with notes and that whole emotional aspect, that transformative aspect that music has the potential of releasing is not there.
So,
but for us who have done like this listening for all of these years, we know when that element is present, and it's very, very important to track that and be aware of it. It's really important.
Sometimes when I sit down on Spotify, for example, I sometimes want to listen to really new music, but I don't know where to find it because I can't get into the chart stuff at the moment. I listen to sometimes Rick Beato doing the top 10, so I can get a condensed, but I don't like the music. It's not I can't dig it. I can understand it too easy, and it just sounds so processed all the time.
Where do you find something brand new? Check out Phil Lassiter's album, Prince's Last Arranger.
Really?
Phil Lassiter.
How do you spell the last name?
Lassiter.
Oh yeah, I'm hip to him.
Sputsy Wright and Juan Luis Guerra and various other guests on it. It is fantastic. Really funky.
Well, guys,
I became aware of him through my friend Dave Tickle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, David and I, because we've done several projects together. And so,
Jim,
and you know,
Marvin,
here's what, and-
Marvin
yeah,
wanted to say something. What are you going to say, Marvin?
Yeah.
I go to band camp, and for some reason, band camp leads me from one thing to the next. And
Okay.
if you're interested in genres, they have a really good breakdown in the genre. And I find myself just discovering so many new things there. And that's how I found this obscure Italian group. Actually, I found it from Spitfire. You guys familiar with Spitfire Audio?
Yep.
My
Yeah.
son works for Spitfire.
Yeah, great.
who said that? Wally.
David.
David.
Who said that? Oh,
David.
okay,
David.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Spitfire is just wonderful. Like Todd, they provide samples and sounds for film composers, and they're
I think I see. Yeah.
yeah, and they're in like they record in Air Studios in Abbey Road. And all
Right.
these places.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm hip to it. Yes.
I get their free stuff and I buy
Mhm.
some, but today they came out with a new percussion package, and I don't know, one thing leads to another, and you know they list like at somebody's name, and I'll just click on that, and then
Oh, right. Yeah.
you know, I love it. It's like,
Evelyn,
Kind of
Evelyn Glennie.
But
Evelyn
Yes.
Glennie. Now, Evelyn
That's the
Glennie,
one.
a woman that I pursued for years to be on this new record I having released. I flew down to San Francisco. I took her out to dinner.
yeah.
Seattle. I showed her and I had her booked in a studio. At the very last minute, she canceled because she was having world premieres of some pieces that she had commissioned. But anyway, yeah, Evelyn Glennie. Of course, we all have a
Percussionist.
Evelyn
Yeah.
Glennie.
She's on Spitfire, and she asked Jake to record her stuff.
Oh, really?
Yep, Jake recorded it all.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it was
That's
her
great, man.
idea because Jake had recorded her so well at Air.
Yeah.
So, but just for
No,
a bit of interest,
she's a remarkable story.
Yeah.
Spitfire now employs over 100 people.
Really?
Yeah, it's massive.
Wow.
Based in Edinburgh, but the people who work for it work all over the place.
Oh, they're
Mhm.
based in Edinburgh, so that's why she's also familiar with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's just a coincidence, I think, but
Yeah.
because they met in London. Jake met her in London at Air.
Mhm.
But
You know, one of the
Well, yeah, love it.
one place that I like to find new music is
Yeah.
the New York Times.
Yes.
has a playlist. I
Yes.
think it's almost every week. And the
Yes,
thing I
great.
like about it, oh, I'm sorry, what's that?
No, it's great.
Yeah, and the thing I like about it is that it's not genre driven. So you can hear a punk band, you can hear a jazz band, you can hear a classical piece, you can hear soul music, you can hear, you know, and I just discovered a brand new band about a week ago. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. They're called the Lindas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And
Japanese.
the drummer is 10 years old. I'm serious, and she's good, and she's going boom, bop, boom, and she's solid, and she sings, and the four of them sing, and it's so sweet and innocent, and it's like the Ramones meet the Runaways.
Well,
And they have this song. What happened was they played this gig at a library, set up, and with a little PA set up, and they wrote this song called Racist, Sexist Boy. That was apparently the singer was bullied by someone who made fun of her, you know, because of what she looked like. And so she wrote this song, and it started to get a lot of attention. And then the other night they were like on the Tonight Show. I mean, it's just like, and then they got signed to Epitaph Records.
I just
Wow.
heard. I just heard from Jerry Jamot. He's coming aboard in a minute. He lost the link.
Right.
I just sent him the link. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys talking about new music. I hung up with
Where'd
Michael.
Jonathan go?
He had to leave.
But
Michael, you remember Genya Ravon from New York? You remember Genya? Genya Ravon from 10 Wheel Drive and all those
I know
bands.
her, yeah.
Yeah, I know you know her.
Goldie.
She wants me to throw you a kiss, George. She said she's
my.
very
Not,
Yeah.
not,
anyway.
not a French one though, George.
Anyway, she's on that little Steven. She's on that little Steven radio thing.
Yeah.
And she
Underground Garage.
she runs a segment called Goldie's Garage. She was in that band Goldie and the Gingerbreads, and that's all she does is new music. She brings in new music. She's going to send me a ton of new bands that she thinks are going to be happening, and so that'd be interesting to see what she sends out. But
Well, there really are a lot of ideas that are circulating right now. I think I guess the most important aspect of it, I think, and why like a lot of this music that we encounter, it doesn't feel as mature. We can hear the fresh ideas, but a lot of these musicians haven't really come through the proving ground, or these systems that in earlier decades.
It's a different time.
We came through where you were doing it, and I'll tell you another big thing that I actually have been just trying to pull my ideas around it, but I've given it quite a bit of thought. Is there's a very, very big difference in the way music advances from a band, and then people who are bringing people in to collaborate with them on a project basis. The evolution of music has been way more forward and specific with that music that was created with bands, as opposed to hiring this great musician, this great player for this project, and you have this much time and you get it together and do it. And so I think that I think there's a void in development there. I don't think they really get to that place of having shorthand relationship as players. What happens with an ensemble? I mean, of course, unless you are going to approach making music like solely on your own, I think that relationship,
bedroom studio music.
This is what I'm saying. Yes, and it's pasted on music, and they are making music in stereo pairs.
What's that?
What
do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
2 channels, left and right.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I've got a 2-channel. I've got a 2-channel interface. This is what it is.
Right.
You mean to record directly?
To record themselves, yes. So they're doing it in 2 discrete channels. There we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you don't have that aspect. You don't have the interactivity, and then of course when you're just doing purely electronic music, or things that are sampled or generated from whatever systems, as as well as they might be duplicating natural environments, you do not have the interactivity of fundamental tones and overtones. You don't get the bloom of sounds and things like that. And the whole thing about instruments is what we hear of an instrument is maybe 80% reflection and 20% of the instrument itself. And so you're really without that interactivity of fundamentals and harmonics, you don't get any of those ghosting. None of that ghosting phenomena comes into the creation of the music. You see, so there's an unnatural space there that would be filled if those sounds were created acoustically, and that's a relationship as well. And the other thing is, of course, there's very little dynamic consciousness as well. Yeah, loud and soft.
I think it's 2 different ways of doing it. I think that I'd be really interested to hear what Michael has been doing, like on his own, as much as sometimes maybe a band. Do you know what I mean? There's two different. It's two different. It's kind of apples and oranges. I think, American
different
play.
approaches. How about you guys? Are you guys, because I may not be familiar, are you guys making new music at all? I mean, I'm just out of curiosity.
Yeah,
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 Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot going on, and I think there's a lot of the things that Todd was talking about between people that have an empathy, a natural empathy with each other, and have built up through the years. And you have like a heritage of, I mean, the band, the Pretty Things. We all came from the same few streets.
That's right.
We were just kind of, it was a natural, organic thing. The band grew. That, like, it was never, you know, let's get a few guys in and yeah, he's good. I think you can have this analogy with football teams. You can get, you know, the 11 best, you know, players in the world, and yeah, the good team is going to beat them every time.
That's right.
I was going to ask about the Pretty Things.
Malcolm Gladwell wrote about that. Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah.
Tell me if you don't mind, Wally. I had read that Bowie, when he was starting out, was a huge Pretty Things fan. I think your early club days.
Yeah,
Do you mind talking about that? Because I thought that was really fascinating. I'm a huge Bowie fan, and you know,
he was. I was a slight latecomer. I wasn't one of the original band, although I grew up with Phil since we were the age of 4. So, but I went off to. I was in another band when he started the Pretty Things. So anyway, so Bowie was always around, and there are pictures of him. You know, Phil May, the main singer, the main kind of mentor of the band, my childhood friend. He was a singer, and Bowie idolized him, and he did. On a lot of his albums, he's covered a lot of Pretty Things songs, and I think
he did one on Pinups.
Yeah, he did 2, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think he did. What did he do?
Rosalind was one. Rosalind.
Yeah, and Don't Bring Me Down, was it?
Yeah, he did both of those.
Yeah, he did
both on Pinups.
He did Sorrow, right?
Right.
And Don't Bring Me Down, yeah. And then he did
you know, one of the things we were talking,
he did God Bless the Pretty Things or something like that.
Oh yeah, that wasn't actually a Pretty Things song, but it was.
Yeah, I know.
It was, oh, you pretty things.
No, not that. But he did a song. He did a tribute to the Pretty Things. He actually did a Pretty Things tribute tune. He was really into the Pretty Things.
He was a very big fan, and particularly of Phil. I think Phil is what got him into music.
Michael, you did an album with Andy Summers, right?
Yeah, I did an album. I did a tour with him as well.
Yes, and you toured with him. George Zoot Money is the man who discovered Andy.
Yeah, he mentions you in his book, right?
Yeah.
And he certainly gives you credit. And it's a good book too. I find Andy to be a fascinating guy. You know, I like that he was in a big, huge group, but he keeps exploring musically. And he's quite a good painter. He's a great photographer, and I like it. You know, he's multifaceted in the things that he enjoys. In fact, we were on a tour in the winter in Italy, and there was a place we were going. We were talking about art, and he said, "I've got to show you the specific building or church where the Renaissance began. You've got to see this." And so he told the tour manager, "Go to this place," you know, and the tour manager's like, "Andy, we don't have time to make a side trip. We're on a schedule here and we got to get to the next gig." And Andy was like, "Fuck you. It's my money we're losing on this tour. And I want to show Michael this place. And I thought,
Yeah, he wanted to hook you up, man. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I wanted to ask Wally, I see your iPad there. Are any of you guys making music with any of the iPad apps? I know I am, and I love it. And the whole world, I think.
I'm trying to.
It's
Garage,
just amazing. I mean, even the emulations that Korg is doing of their old gear is on there, you know, like their, I've got the old thing here, but it's really great. I mean, it's just amazing. Just hook up a keyboard to it and
Wow.
great stuff. Yeah.
I've been using Staff, which is a program that it's continuing to be refined, which is for writing scores, and you write right into the manuscript and
into the app.
Yeah, you write right into, you know, the ledger lines, and then it produces that. But let me tell you, it is quite a technique, you know. And I've got the latest iPad Pro and the Apple Pen and that, and you know, I fooled around with it, and I got, you know, and look, and I know how to read manuals, and you know, there's a little bit of cleverness in my genes, you know, but man, after 4 months, man, I'm a pencil and paper guy, you know.
Yeah.
Really. You know, and then I input into Finale if I need, like, you know, a impressive show and tell. You know, I'll go into my Logic environment, you know, where I've got these, you know, large sample libraries, and that it's been great because, as you know, like I'm also, you know, involved in the, you know, the contemporary classical world. Like I have a piece that's being performed next month at the Icicles Festival, which is right there near you. It's like 3 months. I think it's in Leavenworth, Washington, because if I get up there, I fly into SeaTac, right?
Yeah.
You have a recording of the piece?
Yes, I do, and I'm really excited. You know, it's great. You know, I've got several performances of this this summer, and they programmed my piece
Can
with.
You get it my way? I'd like to hear it.
Oh yeah, sure, I absolutely will. With so I'm being programmed.
Eliot has my info, but you know.
Well, just what you know.
I say this to you, Todd.
Send me in the chat window.
Okay.
But I'm excited. I mean, it was something that was recorded some years ago, but it's starting to you know, gather momentum because I've done quite a bit of, you know, concert music in Asia, Southeast Asia, but this being programmed, can you believe, with Mozart and Steve Reich. That's the evening.
That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
And so what I'm saying, there's some
Mozart's
wonderful interconnectivity,
anymore, right?
and I'm saying, like, it has everything to do. I'll say this with Michael and John and everybody here, with that interconnectivity that we've all been exploring in our own ways since we got smitten by the music bug. You see, so this intersectionality is right there, you know, and we've allowed media and the Clear Channel and all these other things to kind of like disconnect us and put us off in, you know, other corners where we don't interact. And yes.
Let me just interject too. Any of you guys sometimes hate the fact that you love music so much that it's taken over so much of your
curse.
time? It is a
curse.
Could it come back
like that? You'll be sitting there, and you're supposed to be taking care of business. You know, I mean, it's serious business, and you're chasing some melody or rhythm in your head. You know, and you know damn well you need to be paying attention, but you're like just and it's like that, you know, or something that happened to you at 3:30 in the morning, and you know you need to get your sleep.
Yeah.
You know. But it's,
or just the fact,
you know,
or just the fact is we're killing a Monday now talking about music. You know what I mean? It's just you know, it's hard to
Yeah,
explain.
but that's okay. It's inspirational. You know, we're not trying to explain. We're
I
not trying to.
wouldn't
we're
be
not tr-
anywhere. I wouldn't be
Mhm.
anywhere else but here right now. But all I'm
What-
saying is,
Yeah.
how much of your life did you give away because of music that you're not going to ever get
I don't,
back?
I don't think it's a giveaway. I think it's just,
No, nor do I.
you know,
No.
it's like, I just kind of feel like, you know,
Hmm.
I'm
Well,
alive
you know,
24 hours a day. And sometimes it comes to you when you're awake and sometimes when you're dreaming.
No,
So-
but you know what I mean. Like Alan, you know what I
But-
mean, right?
But
Well,
it's
I-
just an ongoing relationship that you have. And
Right.
I think it's just important.
No. But I'm saying, how much time do we spend looking for new music, listening to old music,
Okay,
wondering what we did?
It's what makes us tick, you know, it's like
no, but let
asking
me
us
tell
how
you,
much time in dreams.
astrophysicists are as equally as consumed.
Uh-oh.
Virologists are equally consumed. Linguists are equally consumed. Period. It comes with the territory.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
and
Well,
it's-
one of
it
the
is,
things that's
really.
different, I remember seeing, there's a book that's worth reading called Einstein's Dreams. And years ago, he actually did very well with this book. And the guy who wrote it was a scientist.
Yeah.
And so once he did well with this book, he devoted himself to writing. He wrote another book, which was a novel, which was a very good book. So I went to see him speak. One of the interesting things that he talked about is that for the most part, okay, I'm sure everybody can find an exception. He said, but for the most part, in the world of scientists, which is what the world he was from, the ideas pretty much end when you're 35. Everything that Einstein gave us was before he was 35. Afterwards, he was living off of those fumes, right? And so he said that doesn't apply to musicians and painters. So Picasso did some of his greatest work toward the end of his life. Keith Richards is still playing guitar, probably better than he was at 22. Not the case with Einstein, not the case with this scientist. So it's just something that we have to live with. You know, the ideas keep coming, and it's not an age thing. And I think, thank God, I think it's what nobody here is going, oh my God, I'm such and such age. I can't believe we're having the same conversation now that we would have if it was 1974.
When we were 20.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's
you
right.
know, and I think that's a blessing. And that's not the case with everybody that enters a certain age group. It's like their life is done. And they're lost and they don't know what to do. I just wanted to add one other thing real quick. People were talking about, so, you know, during lockdown, creating new music, since I couldn't play with people, I ended up buying these, a few old drum machines from the late 60s, early 70s. And I have my 4-track chord cassette machine, and it's been really a blast. It's been really a blast working with this stuff. One is by Ace Tone. I have another one by Hammond. I have another one by Univox, and I've got a repair guy in Miami that I found, you know, that refurbishes and stuff.
You're gonna need,
Yeah, but I really love this stuff, and it's kind of like, so you know, I think that on future records, I'm probably like, you know, I'll probably use some of those tracks and just transfer them to digital and finish them up with the funky drum machine, you know. So, and in fact, right before the call, I found this tape. We were talking about new music around 2000, over 20 years ago. I recorded a song that I wrote kind of in the Beach Boys vein, and which I hardly do, but at that moment I was into that. And I ended up getting Carol Kay, who played on Good Vibrations and all those great records, on bass. So anyway, I just found the tape, and I'm trying to find a guy to transfer it.
Very exciting.
You know,
I'm
so put it out
I'm
as
going to leave
single.
for a half a moment. I'll be back.
All right, we're going to be here waiting for you.
A lot of my guitar students are younger,
Yeah.
and you know, of course, because of the pandemic, they couldn't jam with their friends,
Right.
you know, for a long time, and they're all using a software called BandLab, and it's free, and it's for Windows. And I know it's you know, it's part of that BandLab company that, you know, distributes the music. But it's like Logic, or it's like GarageBand. It's loops and samples of all the
LAP?
Excuse me?
LAP or LAB?
Lab, LAB.
And
So you
Lab.
can't use it on Mac, no?
Yeah.
No. So it's for my students who don't use Macs and they can't use GarageBand.
Right.
And because these kids are young and inexperienced, the stuff that they play for me it's bizarre. It's like they'll have like heavy metal guitar riffs, you know, that come with the software on top of reggae drums with like, what did I write down here? With like banjos going on at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And because they don't have any preconceived anything,
Send me a
because
track.
they're
I'd love to
young,
hear it.
you know, they do some crazy stuff.
Can you send a track, or you love to do?
Well, I'll ask. Yes, I'll ask the kids if I can distribute it.
Yeah,
But
I'd love to hear it, because I really believe I had this thing when I remember in junior high. I had this thing about duality, which is kind of what you talked about in seeking new music. And I remember going to the record store, buying the first Grand Funk Railroad album.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I got Flatt and Scruggs' Greatest Hits.
There you
And
go.
I remember playing them back to back, thinking, how can I combine these two guys together? These two, you know, people who would never meet in real life, you know, and to this day, I buy records in kind of dualities like that don't belong.
Mhm.
So I that's just something when you mention those elements that on paper you go, that's not going to work. I get excited about hearing about those kind of influences going and melting together.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Can I ask Michael a question? Michael, you said you've got loads and loads of cassettes and that, and I read somewhere you said you had David Garibaldi and Dougie Rauch jamming.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider releasing some of that stuff?
Not that one in particular, but
No, but that kind of, you know, Mill Valley jamming and stuff by all those great musicians that
yes,
kind of there and then they went.
Yeah, I'm actually going through, and the stuff that I like, I'm loading into the computer, and now I know that they can be cleaned up. I mean, Todd, I've got a cassette here that says "Best of Hammersmith." Altman.
Really? Wow.
And so
Right.
I know that it's like, you know, sometimes it's us talking at 3 a.m, and other times it's playing. And
Right.
yes, I think part of the thing that I want to do is really go back over all the stuff and see what you can release, because who gives a shit? And also, you look at people like Jimmy Page and Neil Young, they're spending all this time on archiving,
Right.
and what they're doing really is they're working on their legacy,
Right.
Yeah.
and they're taking it seriously.
You know,
And
Neil
there's
Young.
there's no reason why we can't do the same thing.
Well, I've
You know,
noticed that Columbia has not, as far as I'm concerned, has not done a good job on the Santana legacy at all. There should be loads more stuff, more good shows, you know, and all that out there, you know, presented well. Most of it's come out through bootlegs, not through the record label, you know?
You know
I mean,
what?
some of it's not very good to
don't.
listen to.
I'm just going to say I don't know the details on that, but Santana might have a very good relationship with the label and might have such high standards that they go to him, you want to put this out? And he goes, I don't want that out. You know, so, you know, that does
You're
happen.
absolutely right.
I've seen that firsthand with artists.
Sure.
Things that they don't want to. Oh, yeah.
An artist will go, I don't want to see
see
that out. And so the world of bootlegs, and,
Michael,
you know.
Michael, I found a 90-minute tape of Novo Combo playing at SIR during a kind of a rehearsal thing.
Yeah.
And then when the first album came out, it was really slick, right? But when the band,
not as slick as the second one, which was too
yeah,
slick.
yeah. But during the rehearsals and everything, there was such a raw sound to that band. It was really, really different than when the album came out. It was just a whole turnaround. Were you happy with the way the first album came out, or were you looking more for that?
No, I was happy with the way the first album came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I've we've been going through all those old tapes because we are actually releasing a combination of old takes of things and new songs. So that's happening. Trying to get that together with Automatic Man. We're trying to release stuff that hasn't been out. It's the kind of thing that you really need to like follow through on. It's a project, and life like takes you in this way and that way and this way, and you're like, the world's working fine without it, and I'm distracted, and I'm, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you've got to really be into your own stuff. I find that all the guys, all the famous people, they are completely into their shit,
That's why, that's why I asked that
It's
question.
amazing. Like if you work with Mick Jagger, he'll do something. I've seen him sit and work with a guitar, and I'm thinking, if this were anybody else, or if it was me, like listening to anybody else, I'd say that's shit.
Yeah.
But the truth is,
You're right.
what he knows, and other people too that I've seen, like Carlos or a number of people, is that they know where it's going to go. They believe in themselves enough to know, when I get it with the band or I get with other, we can make this something. Whereas we'll probably discard it earlier than they would, rather than work that idea, like work it.
Yeah,
You're the mark. Sorry, go on, George. Go on.
You've come into a very good point I was going to make before, when you were all discussing whether you use cassettes because they're out of date and you don't want to put them in your machine, and it's a different vibe, and you move on, and you just want to keep them where they are. I've found that discovering cassettes that I made of ideas that I put down years ago, I get hold of them, I play them, and I'm in the middle of writing an album now with some guys, but and there's 4 ideas that I put down 8 years ago, just as sort of rough ideas, but for the most part, those recordings that I made, I obviously made a copy of them. I've got the guys I'm with to put it into Pro Tools and stuff to clean them up, to make to make sure that we can refer. And I have been building on it, writing words for them, and rearranging some of the passages in it so that a chorus, doesn't come quite so many times. Or I've written another little piece to take it away from the monotony of 3 or 4 verses in a row, because when you sit down to write something off the top of your head, you just keep going over that same sequence until it's in your head. And I left it as a notebook for myself, and I'm finding that the use of that cassette has in fact now given me the basis of something like 5 of the songs that I'm now actually recording for real.
I'm with you. Look at, I've got it says good ideas on it, and it's
that's great.
I think I have one of those too.
Look for the one that says, look for the cassette that says great ideas.
Yeah, that's the one you want, right?
That's the
I got one that says bad ideas.
Then listen to that one.
That's
the one I want.
Not so sure.
I've got a jam I found with Roger Hodgson and Trevor Rabin. And it's nice, nice stuff. I mean, because they're both, they think, they're composers, they write, and it's just amazing, like the old stuff. It's fun to go through.
You guys were talking about cassettes. I was reading some time ago, a few years ago, one of the reasons that cassettes have had a comeback, at least it's part of it is a West Coast phenomenon. And the reason for that the reason for it is that the young kids are buying their first cars, but they're not buying new cars. And cassettes are still in the old cars.
That's interesting.
Those have to be classic cars.
Right. Well, not necessarily. They were making cassettes.
So my question is, where do you buy a cassette player? Because I mean, I have this very high-end Yamaha cassette player. I think I paid $1,500 for it.
Wow.
the bands don't work. You know, I would never put
Yeah.
a cassette. And then I have a guy who said, well, you know, I used to work on this at Yamaha for like that. It's gonna cost me $300 to bring
Yeah.
it up to spec.
Yeah, you can
And
find
I'll
them
probably
online.
use it for 2 days and be on to something else.
I know, I'm using like a tabletop Sony with a cassette player and two speakers and hooked up to my system. But I have a really nice Tascam, you know, a studio quality Tascam that doesn't, but it doesn't pay to get it fixed.
Don't put your cassettes in there.
I don't,
because what I did, you know what I did? I ended up renting a cassette player. Do not put your cassettes in there, man. Weird stuff happens in really don't.
I ended up renting a Denon cassette deck many years ago, and by the time I returned it, the person, because I would rent mics from them and all this, and they knew me, and they said, Marvin, rather than pay us for the rental, pay us for the rental and keep it. Okay, just get it out of here.
You know,
I said, wait a minute, you're gonna.
But you know why? You know why I told you that.
But you know, because of all these problems that we have,
they don't want to bother.
Cassettes, but that's the reason they invented CDs, and now, we don't want to know about
Marvin, let me tell you the reason
anymore. We've gone full circle. And we're back with the cassette.
That's right.
When that system breaks down, there won't be parts for it. Like I had a lot of vintage synthesizers, and I used them until they said, man, you know, we can't fix it anymore. We don't have parts.
Yeah.
And so that's when I just had to let them go. So
Sounds
that's
like
what it is. It's just like you buy a car, right? For 7 years, they've got to have parts in case.
But you know, there's always someone, because
that's true. I found the guy up the street.
Yeah, my uncles did radio broadcasts. They were both great band leaders.
Yeah.
And I have the radio transcriptions that have not been played since the 1940s.
Yeah.
Someone came round, took them away, digitized them, and brought them all back. So I'm hearing radio shows that my uncles did in 1944.
Wow.
Which is very, very exciting, man.
Yeah.
I spoke to a big guitar player, and he had all these cassettes, and they started breaking up. You know, they get brittle.
The oxidation.
Oh yeah.
So he had to bake them.
You got to bake them.
So
you have to bake the cassettes?
Yeah, you buy a dehydration machine, and you bake the cassettes.
Not gonna happen.
So now whenever I call him now, like on Zoom, as soon as the camera goes on, he's eating dry fruit or beef jerky. You know, he's using the dehydration machine to for his menu.
That's great.
Can I tell you a funny story about the Beatles?
Please do.
I've heard of them.
True story told to me by Jeff Emmerich. When Jeff became a tape op at Abbey Road, his job was to master everything the Beatles did during the day, put it on a safety tape. So he went to make the safety tape, and they were out of tape.
Oh, Jesus.
So he thought, what the hell do I do? So he went down to Wardour Street in London, where they all shop everywhere closed. So now he's completely panicking because he's thinking, I'm going to lose my job. He goes into Woolworths on Oxford Street, and he buys a Winfield reel-to-reel tape. And he takes it back and he puts the Beatles tracks on this tape. Next day, he's hauled up to the head office, and they say, how dare you put our most valuable commodity on this Woolworths tape? You know, how could you do that? Nearly lost his job. Anyway, years later, he's producing Anthology, and he has to transfer all the master tapes, which have all perished and have to be baked, except for the Winfield tape.
Well,
That's great.
And he,
This is the end of part 1 of our June 6th transatlantic meeting. We would like to thank all participants. Please keep an eye and ear open for the second part of the meeting. This show is listener funded. If you wish to contribute, our PayPal info is notyourmothersradio@gmail.com. That's notyourmothersradio@gmail.com. We would like to thank you in advance.